My lawn was being treated like a playground, with bicycles cutting across it daily and leaving deep tire marks in the grass. A message was left saying, "It's just grass. It grows back." So I lined my yard with small, decorative fencing and planted a row of thorny bushes along the border. The next day, a final note read, "Point taken. The bicycles moved to the street where they belonged." This happened last summer, and honestly, I'm still a little heated about it. I never thought I'd be one of those people writing in here, but after what went down, I figured someone else might enjoy how this played out. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Springfield, Illinois. I've been in the same house for about 12 years now. My front yard isn't anything fancy, but I take care of it. I mow it once a week, trim the edges, fertilize it when needed. I've put time and effort into making it look nice. It's not even that big, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. For years, the neighborhood was pretty calm. Kids played, people were friendly, and everyone respected each other's space. That changed a little when a new family moved in a few houses down. They had 3 boys, all around 10 to 13 years old. From day one, they were loud, always on their bikes, constantly zooming up and down the street. Fine, whatever. Kids are kids. But then they started riding across my front lawn. Not just once. Not just by mistake. Every single day. Sometimes more than once a day. At first, I thought maybe they just didn't realize. So I let it go. I'd see the tire tracks in the morning, lines of crushed grass, little dirt trails from their knobby tires. I'd shake my head, rake the grass back up, water it, and move on. But it kept happening. More tire marks. Deep ones. The grass started dying in patches. I'd just gotten new sod in the spring. I paid nearly $600 for that. So one afternoon, I caught them in the act. 3 of them, cutting straight across my lawn like it was part of the sidewalk. I walked out and waved them down. "Hey guys," I said, keeping it calm. "Can you not ride your bikes through here? This is my lawn. It's getting torn up." The oldest one, kid, had shaggy hair and one of those fake tough guy looks, shrugged and said, "It's just grass. It grows back." That was it. No sorry. No acknowledgement. Just that smug little comment. I stared at him. "Yeah, it does grow back, but I spend time and money to take care of it. Please stick to the sidewalk or the road." They mumbled something and rode off. Next day, more tracks. Deeper this time. Like they were going faster, on purpose. Like they were mocking me. And then, taped to my mailbox in sloppy handwriting. "It's just grass. It grows back." With a smiley face. That's when I snapped a little. I'm not the kind of guy who gets into drama. I work in IT. I like quiet. But something about that note, the attitude, the disrespect, it got under my skin. So I went to the hardware store that weekend. Picked up a few packs of small decorative fencing. Nothing huge. Just a foot tall. Just enough to send a message. But that wasn't all. I also bought 8 thorny rose bushes. Bright red ones. Long stems, full of thorns. The kind you don't want to accidentally brush up against. And I spent the whole Saturday planting them right along the edge of my lawn, lining the sidewalk. Just behind the little fence. It looked good. Not too aggressive. Just firm. Sunday morning, I was outside watering them. One of the boys rode past on the sidewalk, slowed down, and stared. Didn't say a word. Monday, no tire tracks. Instead, a new note taped to the little fence. It said, "Point taken." That was it. But here's the thing. I don't think they gave up. I think they're planning something. And I'm ready. Because I've got cameras now. I'm not done telling this story. There's more coming. So after the point taken note, I thought that was it. Problem solved. No more bikes on my lawn. I felt pretty good about it, honestly. Like maybe the little punks had finally learned some respect. But I was wrong. For about 2 weeks, everything was quiet. No new tire marks. No more notes. The roses were blooming nicely. I was even thinking about adding a small bird bath. Then one morning, I walked out to get my mail and saw something that made my stomach drop. Every single rose bush had been trampled, crushed, torn up from the roots. Some were bent sideways. A couple were completely dug out. The little fence? Snapped in half in 3 places. It looked like someone had taken a scooter and just plowed through the whole thing on purpose. I just stood there, stunned. My hands clenched. My blood was boiling. This wasn't kids being careless anymore. This was deliberate. I checked the footage from my new security cameras. And there it was. 2:43 a.m. the night before. 3 figures in hoodies. Faces covered. One of them had a shovel. A goddamn shovel. They stomped the bushes, broke the fence, even spit on the camera before they ran off. I saved the footage. Burned it to a USB. Then I called the police. The officer who showed up, Officer Mackey, was nice enough, but didn't seem very hopeful. "Unless we can identify them, there's not much we can do," he said. "Got any suspects?" "Yeah," I told him. "I have 3 in mind." I gave him the address of the new family a few houses down. Told him about the bike incidents. The first note. The second note. The threats. The timing matched. Mackey said he'd go talk to them. But here's the twist. When he came back, he told me something weird. "They denied everything," he said. "And they're claiming you threatened their kids." I laughed. I actually laughed, right in his face. "What?" I asked. "I haven't even raised my voice to them. They said you yelled at the kids. Said you threatened to call child services over some grass." That's when I realized this was bigger than I thought. These people weren't just careless. They were entitled and manipulative. But I wasn't giving up. I started documenting everything. Every encounter. Every note. Every piece of damage. I kept photos, timestamps, copies of receipts. I even recorded myself planting the replacement bushes. And yeah, I planted more. This time, I added thorny blackberry brambles. Not just roses. These suckers were like nature's barbed wire. But I didn't stop there. I filed a formal complaint with the HOA. Told them about the repeated trespassing, the vandalism, the false accusations. I gave them the security footage and copies of the notes. Then I found out something very interesting. The family? They were renters, not owners. The house was owned by a woman who lived out of state. She used a local property management company. So I did what any sane, angry man would do. I wrote a very detailed letter to the property manager. I attached everything: photos, notes, videos, police report number, and a very polite but very firm message that if this behavior didn't stop, I'd be pursuing legal action. That got their attention. Big time. A week later, the family got a notice of violation from the HOA. The property manager followed up with a formal warning. And then silence. No bikes. No kids. No damage. But the story isn't over yet. Because 3 days ago, I found something else taped to my front door. A photo. Blown up. Grainy. Black and white. Of me. From my own security camera. And on the back, in the same sloppy handwriting, "You're watching us? We're watching you." I don't know what these people are trying to do. But I'm not backing down. Not yet. After finding that creepy photo taped to my door, I felt something shift in my chest. This wasn't about a lawn anymore. It wasn't even about kids on bikes. This was something else. Something meaner. And it had gotten personal. The camera image they used? It was taken from my own footage, which meant one thing: they'd hacked into my system. That shook me. I'm not some tech genius, but I know how to set up a basic home security network. My camera feed was encrypted. This wasn't just vandalism anymore. This was trespassing and illegal access. I reported it, of course. Back to the police. Back to Officer Mackey. This time, he took me a little more seriously. I showed him the photo, explained the breach. He nodded slowly, said he'd file an escalation. But I could tell, unless someone ended up in a hospital, they weren't going to do much more than document it. So I took matters into my own hands again. I bought new security cameras, higher-end ones, with local-only storage, no Wi-Fi access. I also installed motion sensor lights along the yard and driveway. I replaced my old door locks with smart deadbolts that alert me anytime someone even tries them. I even installed a fake utility box in the yard that holds a GPS tracker and sound sensor, just in case someone tries anything again. Then, about a week later, it got even weirder. My garbage can disappeared. That sounds dumb, I know. But it was one of those heavy-duty city-issued ones. Not something you can just walk off with unnoticed. I checked the camera footage. 3:12 a.m. A figure in a hoodie and gloves wheeling it down the street. Gone. I drove around the neighborhood the next morning and found it dumped in the creek near the edge of the subdivision. Empty. Cleaned out. Like it had never been used. I didn't even bother going to the police this time. Instead, I hired a private investigator. $500 retainer. Local guy. Used to be a cop. Name's Lyle. I gave him everything I had. The footage, the notes, the photos, and most importantly, the address of the family I suspected. Lyle started digging. And what he found? That's when things got real dark. Turns out, the oldest kid, the one who shrugged and said, "It's just grass." He wasn't just a brat. He'd been suspended from school twice. Once for fighting. Once for stealing a teacher's phone. And the father? Not just unemployed, like the neighborhood gossip had said. He had a record. Nothing major, misdemeanors mostly, but it painted a picture. Disorderly conduct. Trespassing. Destruction of property. Suddenly, the whole thing made more sense. These people didn't care about rules. They didn't care about being decent neighbors. They thought they could do whatever they wanted and get away with it. And then Lyle told me one more thing. That night they trampled the rose bushes? They weren't alone. There was a fourth person. Someone in the background of the footage, tall, wearing all black, face not visible. Just standing there. Watching. Never moved. Never helped. Just stood. Lyle tried to enhance the image, but it was too dark. Too grainy. Still, the idea that there was someone else involved, someone who wasn't a kid, made my skin crawl. I doubled down. I installed a floodlight that lit up the entire front lawn. Hooked it to a motion sensor and a loudspeaker that played an audio message whenever someone stepped onto the grass. It said, "This is private property. You are being recorded." I even put up a new sign, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." Lawn monitored 24/7. No exceptions. A few neighbors gave me weird looks. One guy across the street joked, "You setting up a prison camp?" But I didn't care. I wasn't just protecting my yard anymore. I was protecting my home. And then came the twist I did not expect. Last week, I got a knock at the door. It wasn't a kid. It wasn't a cop. It was the landlord. The owner of the house where that family was renting. She'd flown in from Phoenix. Said she wanted to talk face to face. We sat on my porch. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. She told me the tenants had stopped responding to her. Rent was late. The HOA had filed complaints. She was considering eviction. And then she said something that chilled me. I think they know I'm coming for them, she said. And I think they're trying to scare me off. Apparently, someone had slashed her car tires when she came to town 2 months ago. She thought it was random, until she got an envelope at her hotel room last night. Inside, a photo of her, taken from across the street. Same sloppy handwriting on the back. We're watching you too. So now it's not just me. And I think it's about to escalate. I wish I could say things got better after that talk with the landlord, but they didn't. They got worse. The next night, someone tried to break into her rental house. She was still staying in a hotel across town, but neighbors heard glass breaking and called the police. When officers showed up, the back window was shattered, and there was spray paint on the kitchen wall. 2 words, stay out. She was rattled, called me in the morning, and said she was officially starting the eviction process. That was the beginning of the end. Once the papers were filed, it took about 30 days for everything to go through. But during that time, the family didn't go quietly. The boys kept circling the block on their bikes, glaring at my house. The dad once stood on his porch, arms crossed, staring me down for a full 10 minutes. Didn't say a word, just stared. Then one night, I came home from work and found my yard covered in trash. Rotten food, plastic wrappers, even a diaper. My mailbox was bashed in, and one of the motion lights had been ripped off the wall. I had had enough. I turned everything over to the police again. Gave Officer Mackey and Law the footage. I also emailed the property owner, who was just as furious. She came by the next day with a maintenance guy and a locksmith. They changed all the locks and gave them a final notice, 7 days to leave. The family didn't even wait the full week. They moved out at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday. I watched from my window as they loaded everything into a beat-up truck. They didn't even shut the doors properly. Furniture hanging out, drawers falling open. No goodbye, no note, just gone. But I wasn't done. You see, during all this, I found out one little detail that made everything click. Remember the photo taped to my door? The one taken from my own camera? Well, I figured out how they got it. Turns out, the oldest boy had connected a cheap device to my outdoor cable box. A signal jammer. It messed with my Wi-Fi cameras, slowed them down, let him pull a still image during a time delay. A dumb little trick, but it worked. For a while. And that was a federal offense. Lyle helped me put together a full report, and I filed charges through the county for criminal mischief and illegal tampering with electronic surveillance. The police took it seriously once the tech crime unit got involved. 3 weeks after they moved out, I got a call. The dad had been arrested in another town, this time for theft. And guess what else they found? Spray cans, crowbars, and a bag full of fake license plates. They tied him back to the vandalism at my house and the landlord's hotel. He's facing 6 charges now. Possibly jail time. The boys? Well, they're not in my town anymore. I hear they're staying with family somewhere else. Good riddance. As for me, my yard is better than ever. I replanted all the bushes, even added a small stone path with lights. The HOA actually gave me an award for Best Curb Appeal last month. And just for fun, I printed a copy of that first note, the one that said, "It's just grass, it grows back," and framed it in my garage. Next to it, a picture of my perfectly trimmed lawn. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes, it's just clean grass, a peaceful yard, and knowing you stood your ground. They thought they could bully me. They thought I'd give in. But they forgot one thing. It's my lawn. And I never back down.